Imagine this. You are standing on the edge of a cliff, the wind roaring past your face, the abyss stretching infinitely below. You know you could fall at any moment. Yet there is something far more unsettling than the drop. The quiet, gnawing awareness that you have already been falling for most of your life. Not physically, not visibly, but inwardly. Every choice you've made, every desire you've chased, every mask you've worn to be acceptable has pulled you further from some unnamed essence within you. And as the ground disappears, the question burns. Who are you without all the roles? All the illusions, all the borrowed meanings. They told you life was about success, security, love, reputation. Yet the more you cling to these symbols, the emptier they feel, like drinking seawater that only deepens your thirst. What if the very things you strive for are the shackles that keep you from freedom? What if the comfort of belonging hides a deeper exile from yourself? Consider this paradox. Humanity has never had more freedom of choice, yet never has it felt more enslaved by anxiety, comparison, and silent despair. You scroll endlessly, searching for something you can't name. You achieve, but the taste of victory fades faster each time. You love, yet beneath the warmth there is a quiet fear of being abandoned, unseen, or forgotten. Why does satisfaction vanish like smoke the moment you try to grasp it? Perhaps it is because you are not living life. You are being lived by it, shaped by invisible scripts, compelled by voices that are not your own. You call it ambition, morality, culture, destiny. But what if all of it is a cage, carefully painted to resemble freedom? And so the great question emerges, one you can no longer ignore. What is the hidden force beneath all this restlessness? What is the silent current shaping your choices, binding your spirit, and convincing you that this half-life is all there is? The cliff is before you, and the fall has already begun. To understand why, we must dig into the deepest roots of the psyche, into the shadows where philosophy, psychology, and the unconscious intertwine.
Beneath the surface of every ambition, every relationship, every sleepless night lies an ancient wound, a void that human beings have tried to cover for millennia. You sense it when the celebration ends and silence returns, when the lights of achievement dim and the applause fades. It is not failure that terrifies you most, but the hollow echo that success cannot silence. Why does the human spirit, even when surrounded by abundance, ache with a hunger it cannot name? Carl Jung suggested that much of our suffering arises from the loss of soul, the disconnection from the deeper, instinctive self buried beneath social masks. We become fragments of what we could be, wearing personas crafted to be accepted, praised, or envied, but never truly known. Nietzsche warned of a similar danger, the herd morality that reduces individuals to obedient shadows, trading their will to power for the comfort of conformity. You believe you are free, yet the very language you speak, the values you uphold, the dreams you chase have been whispered into you by forces unseen. From birth you are scripted. Parents, schools, religions, governments, cultures, each inscribes expectations on your skin until you mistake them for your own desires. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer observed that most people mistake necessity for choice. They believe themselves autonomous, while in truth their will is directed by blind forces, biological drives, cultural pressures, unconscious fears. You think you chose your career, your beliefs, your ideals, but what if these were chosen for you long before you knew what choice was? Psychology reveals another layer of this trap. Our brains, wired by evolution to survive rather than to see truth, distort reality with cognitive biases. You crave approval because your ancestors' survival depended on belonging to the tribe. You chase novelty because the brain rewards unpredictability with dopamine. You fear silence because in the wild, silence often meant danger. What you call personality may, in part, be nothing more than adaptive mechanisms, ancient scripts, running on repeat in a modern world. Viktor Frankl, who endured the death camps, once wrote, "Man is not destroyed by suffering. He is destroyed by suffering without meaning." This is the core of the hidden problem. You endure, you strive, you survive, but without authentic meaning, existence feels like an elaborate performance staged for an absent audience. And in the absence of meaning, you become addicted to substitutes, distraction, consumption, endless busyness. Consider Aldous Huxley's grim foresight in Brave. New World, humanity, drugging itself into contentment, numbing its longing with pleasure and distraction. Look around, are we not living this prophecy already? A society flooded with entertainment, pills, noise, and convenience, yet haunted by epidemic loneliness and depression. You are told you are free, but the freedom is illusory. Here lies the paradox: the very pursuit of happiness becomes the source of despair. Jean-Paul Sartre spoke of bad faith, the self-deception that allows people to escape their own freedom and responsibility. You smile, work, achieve, and pretend it is enough. But beneath the performance, the abyss yawns. You sense that life is slipping past like sand, that you are living not as an awakened being but as a dreamer, trapped in someone else's script. This is the hidden problem. The exile from authenticity, the disconnection from the raw, unfiltered truth of your own existence. It is not your failures that enslave you, but your unexamined obedience to illusions. You wear chains disguised as jewelry, and you bow to gods you never chose to worship. And yet the weight grows heavier, the silence louder, the hunger sharper. Something in you rebels against the false comfort of the script. Something whispers that there must be more. But before we glimpse the possibility of liberation, we must first confront the price of remaining asleep. We must see the hidden consequences that unfold when an entire civilization is built on illusions and unexamined desires. The most dangerous prisons are the ones without visible walls. When you are trapped by iron bars, you at least know you are captive. But when you are trapped by invisible forces, beliefs, habits, unconscious fears, you mistake the cage for freedom. And this is the tragedy of our age. People drowning in abundance, yet starving for meaning. Look around and the evidence is everywhere. A culture obsessed with productivity produces not fulfillment, but exhaustion. Technology promises connection, yet leaves millions isolated, scrolling in the dark, comparing their unfiltered loneliness to the curated lives of others. Wealth multiplies, but so does anxiety. Medicine advances, yet depression surges. These are not random contradictions. They are the symptoms of living in alignment with illusions rather than truth. Neuroscience tells us the brain adapts quickly to pleasure, what psychologists call hedonic adaptation. The reward of achievement, the thrill of a purchase, the excitement of recognition all fade swiftly, leaving you restless, searching for the next hit. The cycle does not end. It accelerates. The more you chase, the less you find. It is like drinking salt water. Each sip intensifies your thirst. At the societal level, the consequences are devastating. Entire economies are built on your dissatisfaction, feeding industries that profit from your sense of inadequacy. Fashion tells you you are never beautiful enough. Technology insists you are never connected enough. Productivity culture whispers you are never working hard enough. Capitalism does not thrive on your fulfillment. It thrives on your emptiness. To awaken would be to starve the system. Imagine reaching the end of your rebellion, the chains scattered at your feet, the borrowed masks burned away. You stand alone, stripped of illusions, and the silence is deafening. At first, you expect liberation to feel like triumph, but instead it feels like standing naked before an abyss. No script to follow, no authority to obey, no destiny already written. Just you and the infinite. Here lies the final paradox, the freedom you sought is heavier than the chains you fled. For chains give structure, but freedom gives only possibility. And in that terrifying openness, you glimpse the ultimate truth. There was never a prison, only a forgetting. The force that bound you was not society, not culture, not fate. It was your own willingness to surrender, your essence in exchange for comfort. The most profound realization is this: meaning is not something waiting to be discovered out there in the world. It is something you carve into existence with each breath, each choice, each act of courage. You were waiting for life to hand you a script, when all along you were the author. Freedom is not given, it is assumed. Purpose is not found, it is created. Identity is not received, it is lived. This truth is both exhilarating and devastating. It liberates you from waiting for permission, but it denies you excuses. There is no savior, no final formula, no hidden key outside yourself. There is only the raw fact of existence and the terrifying, beautiful responsibility of shaping it. You are not a victim of the world. You are a participant in its creation. When you see this, life shifts. The void that once felt like despair becomes fertile ground. The silence that once suffocated becomes a canvas. Even suffering, once meaningless, transforms into a crucible for growth, depth, and clarity. As Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." And now the why is yours to craft. Stand again at the cliff's edge. Once you feared the fall. Now you see it differently. The abyss was never death, it was possibility. To leap is not to perish, but to live authentically. The ground beneath you was never solid, because life was never meant to be stable. It was meant to be created. Moment by moment, choice by choice. So the question is no longer, what force controls me? Or what meaning lies hidden? The question now is, what will I choose to create? Knowing that every heartbeat is both freedom and responsibility, you are no longer asleep. You are no longer waiting. The rebellion has ended. And what remains is the simplest, most terrifying, most beautiful truth: you are free. The first step in this rebellion is recognition. You must see the invisible chains before you can break them. Notice how your desires are manufactured, how your fears are inherited, how your ambitions are scripted. This awareness alone destabilizes the illusion. Nietzsche urged us to become who you are, a deceptively simple command that demands tearing down every false identity until only the authentic core remains. But awareness is not enough. Rebellion requires courage, the willingness to endure discomfort, isolation, even ridicule. To choose authenticity is to walk away from the herd, and the herd does not forgive deserters. Friends may question you, family may resist, culture may label you strange or dangerous. Yet what greater danger exists than living as a stranger to yourself? History offers examples of such rebels. Socrates, who questioned the foundations of Athenian life, drank poison rather than betray his truth. Diogenes rejected wealth and status, choosing to live in a barrel, free from society's illusions. Mystics like Rumi and Meister Eckhart risked heresy to speak of a deeper reality beyond dogma. Each chose authenticity over approval, meaning over safety. Their lives remind us rebellion is costly, but the cost of conformity is your soul. Practically, rebellion begins in the mind. Challenge every thought. Is this truly mine, or was it given to me? Question every pursuit. Do I want this, or have I been told I should? Even your suffering must be examined. Is this pain a signal of truth denied, or simply discomfort avoided? This radical inquiry is not comfortable, but it is liberating. Another weapon of rebellion is silence. In silence, the scripts dissolve and the raw voice of your being emerges. This is why you avoid it, because it strips away illusions. Meditation, solitude, reflection. These are not escapes, but acts of defiance against the noise designed to keep you numb. Yet rebellion is not only negation, it is creation. Once you strip away the false, you must build anew. Create meaning where none was given. As Viktor Frankl insisted, life's meaning is not found, it is made. In the ashes of illusion, plant the seeds of authenticity, relationships that reflect truth, work that expresses your essence, practices that align body, mind, and spirit. This rebellion is not a single act but a way of being. Each day, each choice, you either tighten the chains or loosen them. You either obey the script or rewrite it. The path is narrow, but it is yours. And in walking it, you discover something extraordinary. Freedom is not granted by society, but claimed by the individual willing to risk everything for truth. And yet, even rebellion is not the final destination. For beyond the breaking of chains lies a deeper realization, one that dissolves the very notion of captivity and freedom. A truth so profound it does not merely change how you live, it changes how you see reality itself. Imagine reaching the end of your rebellion, the chains scattered at your feet, the borrowed masks burned away. You stand alone, stripped of illusions, and the silence is deafening. At first, you expect liberation to feel like triumph, but instead it feels like standing naked before an abyss. No script to follow, no authority to obey, no destiny already written. Just you and the infinite. Here lies the final paradox, the freedom you sought is heavier than the chains you fled. For chains give structure, but freedom gives only possibility. And in that terrifying openness, you glimpse the ultimate truth. There was never a prison, only a forgetting. The force that bound you was not society, not culture, not fate. It was your own willingness to surrender, your essence in exchange for comfort. The most profound realization is this: meaning is not something waiting to be discovered out there in the world. It is something you carve into existence with each breath, each choice, each act of courage. You were waiting for life to hand you a script, when all along you were the author. Freedom is not given, it is assumed. Purpose is not found, it is created. Identity is not received, it is lived. This truth is both exhilarating and devastating. It liberates you from waiting for permission, but it denies you excuses. There is no savior, no final formula, no hidden key outside yourself. There is only the raw fact of existence and the terrifying, beautiful responsibility of shaping it. You are not a victim of the world. You are a participant in its creation. When you see this, life shifts. The void that once felt like despair becomes fertile ground. The silence that once suffocated becomes a canvas. Even suffering, once meaningless, transforms into a crucible for growth, depth, and clarity. As Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." And now the why is yours to craft. Stand again at the cliff's edge. Once you feared the fall. Now you see it differently. The abyss was never death, it was possibility. To leap is not to perish, but to live authentically. The ground beneath you was never solid, because life was never meant to be stable. It was meant to be created, moment by moment, choice by choice. So the question is no longer, what force controls me? Or what meaning lies hidden? The question now is, what will I choose to create? Knowing that every heartbeat is both freedom and responsibility, you are no longer asleep. You are no longer waiting. The rebellion has ended, and what remains is the simplest, most terrifying, most beautiful truth: you are free.